Dear viewers, today we are going to discuss the critiques of Orientalism. A critique is a critical estimate of someone's work. Edward Said's theory of Orientalism has stimulated many people to analyze it critically. Their views may be subsumed under the critiques of Orientalism. Some of these critiques are as under. Number 1. Orientalism is ahistorical. It is claimed that Edward Said's theory of Orientalism is ahistorical. The word ahistorical means historically inaccurate. It implies that Orientalism is historically inaccurate in that it makes totalizing assumptions about a vast expanse of representations over a very long period of history. According to Dennis Porter, Said posits the unified character of Western discourse over some 2 millennia. Therefore, Said seems to suggest that all the writers from the time of Dante to present were convinced of the irreducible otherness of the East. Similarly, Robert J.C. Young opines that Said's claim for a journal discourse on colonialism is totalizing and simply does not answer to the range of historical and geographical differences that exist in the real world. John Mackenzie also points out that Said's history of Orientalism glosses over the various factors that make historical moments distinctive, such as the contrasting economic and social circumstances of different territories. Mackenzie implies that Said gives undue importance to latent Orientalism and does not make allowances for the benign representations of the Orient. Number 2. Said ignores resistance by the colonized people. This is another major criticism of Orientalism. Said emphasizes that Orientalism moves in one direction, from the active West to the passive East, but he does not examine how Orientalist peoples may have challenged the constitutive agency of colonial discourse. Said's lack of attention to anti-colonial resistance elicits unfavorable response from many critics. As Patrick Williams and Laura Chrisman have argued, there is little notion of the colonized subject as a constitutive agent with a capacity for political resistance. Ijaz Ahmad endorses this argument in these words. Said never thinks about how Western representations might have been received, accepted, modified, challenged, overthrown, or reproduced by the intelligentsias of the colonized countries. In these terms, Said stands accused of neglecting the counter-hegemonic discourses of colonized peoples. Number 3. Said ignores resistance within the West. According to Said, every European was essentially a racist, an imperialist, and almost totally ethnocentric. This is certainly a sweeping statement. It does not give weightage to those people of the colonizing nations who opposed colonialism and campaigned for the end of brutal forms of oppression, such as the Atlantic slave trade. In this regard, Dennis Porter argues Orientalism leaves no room to accommodate counter-hegemonic thought, that is, opinions contrary to the dominant views within the West which contest the normative claims of Orientalist discourses. Number 4. Said neglects the significance of gender. Some people are of the view that Said does not give any weightage to Western women's writing about the Orient. In this connection, Sarah Mills says that Said rarely looks at women's writing in Orientalism. Let's pursue this last point further. Mills points out that the position of women in relation to Orientalism is often different to that of men because of the tensions between the discourses of colonialism and the discourses of gender. Mills analyzes the travelogues of different Western women and concludes that in one respect Western women were empowered because they were superior to colonized peoples. Yet, in another respect, they were disempowered like colonized peoples because they were inferior to Western men. Hence, the intersection of colonial and patriarchal discourses often places Western women in a contradictory position. They occupy a dominant position due to colonialism, but a subordinate position due to phallocentrism. Therefore, the relation of Western women to the colonial discourses is often problematic. At the end of today's discussion, we can say that these critiques of Orientalism present Sed's theory as homogeneous and they contradict it. Thank you very much.